Myself, Dr. Devobroto Das, Associate Professor of Botany, Lalagod Government College, Government General Degree College is synonymously used as Lalagod Government College, Jhargram, West Bengal. Actually, my department and Department of Botany, Seva Bharati Mahavidyalaya, they are organizing webinars under Biodiversity Series and Environment and Development Series. Today is second lecture on Environment Series 2 and lecture number 2. Today's speaker is, Dr. Pompi Ghosh, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, Seva Bharati Mahavidyalaya. Actually, Madam did her schooling in North Bengal, that is Uttara Dinajpur, Dakshin Dinajpur, and Malda. After she completed BSc Honours in Botany from Presidency University, Kolkata, Masters from University of Calcutta, Kolkata in the year 1996. She did her PhD in Botany from Vidyasagar University, Midnapur, West Bengal in the year 2017. But started her work in 2011 under the guidance of Professor Dr. N.K. Verma, Department of Botany and Forestry, Vidyasagar University. Her specialization in MSc was angiospermic taxonomy, but did her PhD in mycological research and mycorrhizal research, particularly arbuscular mycorrhiza or vesicular arbuscular mycorrhiza. I think vesicular arbuscular mycorrhiza is a part of the arbuscular mycorrhiza. Sometimes that is called AM or VAM, because vesicles and arbuscles are produced within the host cell, but a little bit difference between them, I think Madam will discuss. She published more than 35 papers in peer-reviewed journals. 15 papers are jointly with other dignitaries published in international journal. She is the editorial board of International Journal of Integrated Research and Development and more 5 journal committees. She attended more than 20 seminars and attended 8 international conferences, excluding virtual conference. Her research publication as book chapter in many edited books published by reputed publishers, that is Elsewhere, Indian Bharati Publications, Wildlife Publications, Staff, etc. She is working in the field of ethnobotany and completed 2 minor research projects funded by UGC, Eastern Regional Office, Kolkata. Now she is editing 2 books and 1 book in press. Madam continuously conducting lectures on biodiversity and environment and development. Now she is Assistant Professor and Head, Department of Botany, Seva Bharati Mahavidyalaya, Kavgari, Jhargram, West Bengal. I would request Dr. Pompi Ghosh Madam, please start your presentation before the audience. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Das, and welcome all in this evening. I think I am known to you as organizer. Today I am trying to share my knowledge with all of you in this virtual platform, and now I am trying to share. Is it visible? Is it visible? Is it visible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Then my topic of presentation is eco-friendly fungal biofertilizer production and application in your home or kitchen garden with organic farming. So M means arbuscular mycorrhizae. Now first trying to explain a little about mycorrhizae because audience or participants of this virtual meeting room are from heterogeneous group. Some sound problem. Yes, then mycorrhizae is a symbiotic association composed of fungus and roots of higher plants. In a mycorrhizal association, the fungus colonizes the host plant's roots, either intracellularly, that means within the cells, as in arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi, or extracellularly, that means not within the cell but surrounding the cells, that is ectomycorrhizal fungi. Here, the association is symbiotic. It is a long studied matter and from very past Francis well studied about it. Later, P. Frank again studied the symbiotic relationship between plants and other organisms, and in 1885 he told that mycorrhizae is a coexistence of dissimilar organisms, and higher plant roots and fungus, when present in this symbiotic relation, this is a mycorrhizal relation. So, mycorrhizal association is a matter of interest to scientific society from them. Most of the plant species for mycorrhizal association shows good result, but some family like Brassicaceae and Cherupotaceae, they don't have any mycorrhizal association. These fungi cannot be grown in pure culture because they need a live host. But they must be grown in association with plant roots. They form different type of structures like arbuscules, vesicles, peloton, coils, hypopodium, hartignate, and mantle within the host root structure. Then, outside the host root structure, they produce apressuria, auxiliary cells, spores, and sporocarps. And these are some fungal structures, and they remain outside host roots, and that is within the rhizospheric soil. So, I am trying to show you this structure. Try to understand. These are the outside structure. You can see it within the low power of compound microscope. And this one is my taken photos, and this one is from net, and this is very clear. It is not possible for me. So here I am trying to show you how the association under low power compound microscope. Roots are surrounded by fungal hyphae and some other structure also you can see external to the root surface. Then next, though I am telling that here is a heterogeneous group, but when I am telling about mycorrhizae, you have to know something that is ABC about mycorrhizae. So this is the classification. This classification is to emphasize on problems in need of solution rather than to gloss over difficulties. Here the plant symbionts in mycorrhizas are so numerous and taxonomically diverse that a primary classification on that basis is impractical. But this is a highly beneficial for beginner. Here, depending upon the morphological and anatomical features, mycorrhizae has been broadly divided in three types. What are these? Endomycorrhizas. Endo means within. That is, when mycorrhizal fungi produce their structures within the host root cells. Ecto means outside. That is, ectomycorrhizae means when fungus produce their structures outside the host root cells, but don't try to penetrate within the host root cells. Then ectendomycorrhizae, they have both the characters, endo and ectendo. First, then okay. Endomycorrhizae, they are accepted and Zygomyces under order Lomales. Then ecto and ectendo, they are septate and they are of Ascomycetes or and Basidiomycetes type. Now I am trying to explain. No, later slide I will tell you about this after seeing the pictures. Endomycorrhizae, they are of 5 types. There is arbuscular mycorrhizae, orchid mycorrhizae, monotropoid mycorrhizae, ericoid mycorrhizae, and arbutoid mycorrhizae. And endomycorrhizae form a system of hyphae, I told you earlier, that go around the cells of the root. The hyphae of the endomycorrhizae not only go inside the root of the plant, but penetrate the root cell walls and become enclosed in the cell membrane. So, they make an invasive symbiotic relationship between host plant and fungi. The penetrating hyphae create a greater contact surface area between the hyphae of the fungi and the plant so that it facilitates a greater transfer of nutrients between the two. Fungi take carbon from the host plant and host plant takes different type of nutrients and water from fungi. Earlier told you that endomycorrhizae have different types as arbuscular, ericoid, arbutoid. So I am in the next slide. Now, vesicular arbuscular mycorrhizae. Rather than now it is changed as arbuscular mycorrhizae, and it is a long debating term because when I have done my PhD, I wrote it HAM, vesicular arbuscular mycorrhizae, but this term changes M. Why? Here in this structure, you can see fungal hyphae goes inside the root cortical cells and they produce different type of structures. These are branch-like structure, these are arbuscules, and these are just balloon-like structure, these are vesicles. But vesicular arbuscular mycorrhizae, all of them do not produce vesicles. Some of them do not produce arbuscular cell, but they have all the characters like arbuscular mycorrhizae. Hence, the name changed as arbuscular mycorrhizae because all of them produce arbuscules within the host root cortical cells. So, arbuscules are intricately branched haustoria that form within the root cortex cell, and you can see here they are just look like trees. Arbuscules are formed by repeated dichotomous branching and reduction in hyphal width from an initial trunk hyphae that ends in a proliferation of very fine branched hyphae. They are considered to be the major exchange site with the host plants. Old arbuscular branches collapsed, and under microscope you can see sometimes. And vesicles, these are intercalary or terminal hyphal swellings formed on internal hyphae within the root cortex. These may form within or between cells. Vesicles accumulate lipids and may develop thick wall layers in older roots. The production and structure of vesicles varies between different genera of glomeromycotan fungi. I will show you later. They are storage organs which may also function as propagules. Next, other type, orchid mycorrhizae, and from this term you can say that orchid mycorrhizae means the fungal mycorrhizae which use orchid plants as their hosts. Simple. So, orchid mycorrhizae is a symbiotic relationship between the roots of plants of the family Orchidaceae and a variety of fungi. All orchids are mycoheterotrophic at some point in their life cycle. During the symbiosis, the fungus develops structures called pelotomes. A different type structure from vesicle and arbuscules within the root cortex of the orchid. And orchid seeds are very minute. You know, all the botany students know, and botany teacher all are very well known that they are very small, very tiny. So they need some help from other, and the helping hand is this orchid mycorrhizae. So to establish orchid seedlings, mycorrhizal association is very, very essential. These fungi, that is orchid mycorrhizae, are Basidiomycotan type with septate hyphae and produce intracellular colonization, and I say you earlier that pelotons, and pelotons are old arbuscule collapsed progressively until only the trunk remains collapsed. Here I told you that host plant is orchid. Now the ericoid mycorrhizae. Ericoid mycorrhizae is a mutualistic relationship formed between whom? Between the members of the family of Ericaceae, main Ericaceae family. Then other family also can produce this type of mycorrhizal association like Empetraceae and Epacridaceae with various fungi, that is Ascomycotan type or Basidiomycotan type. And when I am telling about family, there is some example of genus. They are like very well known rhododendron. You know it, and it is present in Darjeeling here and there. Rhododendron, Alnus and Betula, they show this type of mycorrhizal association. Now, monotrochoid mycorrhizae. Here you can see Monotropa. You know Monotropa, host plant? Monotropa, rare sighting, Monotropa. Monotropate mycorrhizae occurs in species of Monotropa. Monotropa is a non-chlorophyllous plant, and as they have no chlorophyll, they have to depend on someone for their carbohydrate source, that is carbon source. And they usually grows under the forest trees like Fagus, Pinus, Quercus. That means a forest where humidity is very high, shady place, and they are epiparasites and always depend on their fungal partner. Over 400 non-photosynthetic species from 10 families of vascular plants obtain their carbon from fungi and called as mycoheterotrophs. And they are trying to produce this type of monotropate mycorrhizal association. Monotropa actually, here you can see this is the fungal fruit body. These fungus produce a connectivity with higher plants, and there is a relation between them as a mutualistic relation. Again, Monotropa produce a relation with this fungus. So a triangular type of relation, and these fungus give Monotropa carbon. Very interesting. When a fungus is trying to save the life of a higher plant. Okay, many of these plants are epiparasitic on green plants from which they obtain carbon by cheating, just cheating. And AME association with non-chlorophyllous plants also shows epiparasitic activity. So nature is ready to help anyone in its own form to make its life successful. Monotropa-like plants sighting is very rare and blooms for just 1 week, but take energy, that is carbon, from its fungal partner, which get food from its host plants and from leaf litter of pine forest floor. Now, arbutoid mycorrhizae. Arbutoid mycorrhizae, these are like earlier ericoid mycorrhizae and monotropate mycorrhizae, and found in the plant order Ericales. The transition between ecto and endomycorrhizae, and they have some structure you can see within the cell. Members of this fungal association are Basidiomycetes type. And now I am going to next slide, that is ectomycorrhizae. Earlier I told it about ectomycorrhizae, and you can see a symbiotic relation, and it is very clear that endomycorrhizal relationship cannot be viewed in naked eyes and cannot be estimated with naked eyes, but ectomycorrhizal association can be estimated or can be assumed to naked eye by viewing this type of food bodies of some ectomycorrhizae. Okay. So ectomycorrhizal hyphae do not penetrate the host plant cortical cell. You can see here they are present not within the cell but within they are surrounding the cell. They are surrounding the cell, not within the cell. Their cytoplasm is free of hyphae. Okay. So the term ecto. The fungal mycelia extend inward between root cortical and epidermal cell. to form a network called as Hartig net. Hartig net. It is special. This is a really a special structure, and it is actually formed by a highly branched finger-like hypersystem, and this name is given after Theodor Hartig in 19th century, who was German forest biologist and a well-known botanist. And this Hartig net is a site of nutrient exchange between the host and fungal hyphae. And then you can see the mantle. And these structures serve as protective sheath and site of nutrient storage. And after this penetration and ascension, fungal hyphae goes to soil to capture nutrients to give it to its host plant. Now, ectendomycorrhizae. One special type of mycorrhizal association it is. It is confined to conifer species like Pinus and Ladix, and this association is characterized by the unique combination of both ectomycorrhizal and endomycorrhizal structures like fungal mantle, Hartig net, and intracellular hyphae. Okay. Now I will the topic. So, from the previous slides, I am telling about only mycorrhizal structures, but all type of mycorrhizal association are beneficial to plants and fungus, as fungi are direct supplier of nutrients, water, enzyme, and to some extent antibiotics to the host plant. On the other hand, plant supplies only carbon to the fungi. So you can see here fungal. This is the root structure, and these are mycelia within the soil. Okay, and these are the some structures, sclerotia and rhizomops. They would not remain in dormant stage within the soil where spores are not given wrongly. All our spores, sclerotia, rhizomops, they play in the soil, and when the situation became positive and climate good, post plant roots are available, then they germinate and penetrate within the post root cells. So, what are the benefits of AM fungi? So, AM fungi are beneficial to the host and obviously for nature in terms of increasing nutrient uptake, water uptake, tolerance against stressed condition and heavy metals, and also improve soil quality by producing glomalin. What is glomalin? Glomalin is a glycoprotein produced abundantly on hyphae and spores of M. fungi in soil and in roots. Glomalin is hypothesized to improve soil aggregate stability and decrease soil erosion. Soil erosion is a very problematic situation, and when soil erodes, the upper layer of soil washed away, and it gives a bad impact on cultivation. And a strong correlation is present between glomalin related soil protein and soil aggregate water stability in wide variety of soils, where organic matter is the main binding element, although the mechanism is is not known yet now. And in this figure, I am trying to show that is soil, and here AM spores are present and no AM spores. Now, when after observation, it shows that high glomalin content or the addition of articular mycorrhizal fungal spore or hyphae, anything. And what is the result? It result when glomalin production increase, it result root biomass, shoot biomass increase, that nodule count, nodule biomass. Why nodule? Because the plant in this experiment is taken phenocrypt, and that's why it's producing nodule. And when glomalin is low in the soil due to lack of AMF, what is the result? Root biomass decreases, shoot biomass decreases, and also nodule formation decreases, also nodule biomass decreases due to poor quality nodule formation and less number of nodule formation. Next. Now, I am in the next slide, and here I am trying to show you a generalized classification of M. fungi, and arbuscular mycorrhizas are within order Glomales, and broadly they are under three families: Glomaceae, Aculosporaceae, and Zygosporiaceae. How can you differentiate them at a first glance? How? First, when I previously told you that arbuscule and vesicles, previously known as hem, now it is transferred to M. Why? I told you that not all arbuscular mycorrhizas have vesicles. So, Zygosporiaceae family members don't have vesicles. First off, they are excluded from other two. Then Glomaceae and Aculosporaceae. Aculosporaceae members have sporiferous saccule, but members of Glomaceae do not have that, so they are different. And this is a little bit earlier classification, and now classification goes diverse type, and for the beginners it is a good to identify spores. So under Glomaceae, Glomas and Sporocysts, Aculosporaceae, under Aculosporaceae, Aculospora, Enterophospora, and under Zygospora, Zygosporiaceae, Zygospora, and Scuterospora. And I am trying to show you these type of spores: Glomas, that is Glomas, Aculospora, and Zygospora. Then I will show you the spore photos which I was captured. Next, these are the good photographs, not mine, from internet, and you can see the difference and how beautiful they are, and how different they are in their structure. Okay, so Glomas, and this is Aculospora, then Zygospora, then Scuterospora, then Enterophospora, and then Sclerocystis. Now biofertilizer. In the topic, this word is given, biofertilizer, and now I have to tell something about biofertilizer. All of you know fertilizer and bio. Bio means some organism, that is living thing, when is using for fertilizer, that is enhancing some plant's growth. So the term biofertilizer refers to preparation containing live microbes which help in enhancing the soil fertility, either by fixing atmospheric nitrogen, that is nitrogen fixers, solubilization of phosphorus, phosphate solubilizing bacteria or other organisms, or decomposing organic waste, or by augmenting plant growth by producing growth hormones with their biological activity. That means fertilizer, and which is a living biological agent. Next, role of biofertilizer. Nowadays, it is a very familiar term, and everyone telling that this product is organic. This is by using biofertilizer. But when we are growing something from agricultural practitioner to our home gardener, all we are trying to use chemical fertilizer, chemical pesticides for the enhancement of the production. Okay, but biofertilizers have some roles in this environment, and what are these? They help to get high yield of crops by making the soil rich with nutrients and increase useful microorganisms necessary for the growth of the plants. Chemical fertilizers decrease the growth of beneficial soil microbes, and this has to be noted. Decrease the growth of beneficial soil microbes and make the environment polluted by releasing harmful chemicals. That's why we have to avoid chemical fertilizer, and we have to accustom with biofertilizers. And this is not a smooth process. Plant growth can be increased if biofertilizers are used because they contain natural components which do not harm the plant but do the vice versa. Biofertilizers promote the development of mycorrhizal associations. From the previous slides, I am trying to tell you that mycorrhizae is a good association with the plants, which increases the availability of phosphorus on the soil. Biofertilizers destroy those harmful components from the soil which cause disease in the plants. Plants can also be protected against drought and other strict conditions by using biofertilizers like VAM. Earlier I mentioned it also. Biofertilizers are not costly, and even poor farmers can make use of them. It is proved. But we are not taking this opportunity. They are environment friendly and protect the environment against pollutants. Now, in this slide, I am trying to show you the classification of biofertilizers. I am telling you about M. mycorrhizae, but there are so many organisms which are using as biofertilizer inoculum production or producing organism nowadays, and there are so many laboratories who are trying to produce different type of biofertilizers. So here I am trying to show you first of symbiotic. In terms of association, there are three types: symbiotic, associative, free living. That is non-symbiotic. They can present in soil without any association of plants, but they are helping plants and increasing the nitrogen content of soil. And you know these Azotobacter, Clostridium, Astrobacter, etc. And when I am telling about VAM or M, I told you the symbiotic, the word symbiotic, and that means a mutualistic relationship. Leguminous plants contain different types of bacteria within their nodules, and this is a symbiotic relation. Usually, rhizobium is present in this nodule. Other non-leguminous plants, Frankia, also present, and some phosphate solubilizer bacteria. This one. And associative. When I am telling about associative, then we have to tell about BGA, blue-green algae, and here one example is written, Anabena, and these are also be used as biofertilizer production. And what are their work? First of all, some microorganisms fixes nitrogen. We know that 70% of our atmospheric air is nitrogen, has nitrogen, but plants and animals are directly not able to capture them. But we need nitrogen because nitrogen is the essential element of protein. Okay, so how can we then capture nitrogen? So these are the organisms. They are mainly they're the prime organisms who help to capture nitrogen from air. And these are the phosphate fixer or phosphate mobilize and their phosphate fixer. They are of two types: phosphate solubilizer and phosphate mobilizers. Phosphate solubilizing bacteria, they are widely used as biofertilizer, but phosphate mobilizer as fungi are not widely used in our country. And these are the organic decomposer. Often trichoderma also shows some symbiotic relationship. And you know some fungi, aggregas, polypodus, they are lignolytic and they are decomposing several types of roots, and they are really essential for us. Now, these are some important steps. What are the steps and why the steps? Because when all the producer, either company or researcher, all are using these steps to produce biofertilizer. What are these? First of all, isolation. Isolation means, in the previous slide, I show you the organisms. So you have to isolate the organisms from the source. Source means where they are easily available. That means isolation. That first we have to isolate the important, desirable, and my concern organisms for biofertilizer production. Then I have to choose a media where it can be grown artificially. Because these organisms present in nature, and nature has the ability to produce and to give more and more reproductive ability. But when we are producing them artificially, we have to choose a better media, and this is a very important where we have to grow them. Next, fermenter. That means we have to give them proper time, appropriate climate to increase their number. That is, I am producing some biofertilizer and I need it in mass, in a huge quantity. So I need fermenter. Then I have to need a carrier for storage. So a carrier is that which can carry the mass inoculum. Next, isolation method. There are several type isolation methods for different microorganisms. For bacteria, there are serial dilution method. Students and teachers all you know, I have not to mention all these. And from root nodules, we can isolate bacteria, root nodule inhibiting bacteria, you know it. And next, isolation of different biofertilizer inoculant. different type inoculant, I have taken Rhizobium, PSB, M and Azolla. And source organisms are, for Rhizobium previously I mentioned root nodules, oblivium, PSB, rhizosphere soil, and M fungi also available in rhizosphere soil, where vegetative growth of plants is very good. Often barren lands also contain M fungal spore, though the density is very low. Next one is Azolla. Azolla is present in natural habitat in pond or marshland or wetland, and methods of isolation for Rhizobium, I earlier showed you root nodule method. For PSB, as this is bacteria, you should use serial dilation method. But for M. mycorrhizae, wet sieving and decanting method should be used. And for Azolla, you can mass cultivate it or mass culture it in pond. That is, it is present in natural habitat, and usually they grow vegetatively. So there is not to take so much harsh or tough method to increase them. Now, this is the glimpse of organisms which are using today for biofertilizer production. So, this is Rhizobium in petri dish, agar plate, Azotobacter, and so how tiny they are. Okay. Now PSB, now blue-green algae, now Azospirillum, but to see how long VA mycorrhizae spore as comparing all the others. So from this you can assume that as this is a bigger one, it will be easy to isolate the spore from rhizosphere soil. Next, laboratory scale production of ham inoculum. During my PhD work, I purchased inocula in pure form from Center for Natural Biological Resources and Community Development, in short form CNBRCD, Bangalore, from Dr. Bagheera's laboratory. It is one of the leading center of our India for pure culture collection. After collection, it is necessary to make mass production for the use of biofertilizer production or for experimental purpose. So what I have to do? First, I take sand soil mixture 1:1 and autoclave for 1 hour at 121 degrees Celsius at 51 pound pressure. It is the normal room. And during my research work, several times I observed that when I have done for 1 day this autoclaving, after 10 days or 7 days, some algal blooms again arise there. What can I have to do? Then I think I should take another way. Then I have done this process repeatedly for 3 consecutive days, and it showed me better result and fully sterilized sample mixture. Then I have to take an earthen pot within which I have to take this sand soil mixture. So I have to sterilize the pot and filled with 2 kg sterilized sand soil mixture, then taken for mass culture, and 20 gram pure inoculum, which I have purchased from CNBRCD, was used. As a host plant, I told you that M. fungi always present where in living form, that is in hyphal form, where host plant present. So I have to take one host plant and experimentally prove that Sudan grass is very good host. So I have taken Sudan grass, but you can take maize. It also a very good host. Then filter water was sprayed as and when required, and after 3 months I stopped water spraying and then place it for full dryness. Then I chopped off the shoot portion and rootlets and soil with mixing with spores are taken and stored at room temperature in a sterilized polythene bag. And this is the picture from CNBRCD, and this is the picture I show you that they are send it like this form. Now, AM spores. And these are the AM spores. Earlier I showed you 3 type of AM spores I have taken. That is Glomus mossae, Zygospora margarita, and Angospora leafis. And these are available in our area. And these are the spores. Not all are mature, as this one, Zygospora, is not mature, and a very immature one I have given here. Bromelian spores are produced in experimental pot culture to be used as potent biofertilizer. And inoculum includes dried infected root fragments, as said earlier, of Sudan grass and hyphae, including auxiliary cells and tham spores. And these spore containing soil I have used for further study. And for spore counting for any type of rhizosphere soil, what you have to do? You have to take soil from forest or any area which is your experimental area, then collect soil and smash it, then sieve it and discard the pebbles. Then the sieved portion took and take this type of beakers or anything and fill with water and stirred it, then kept it for some time to be stable, and then you have to take wet sieving and decanting method, and that's why you have to take this type of sieves, geosine sieves, and these sieves may be of different MUM or BBS as you think. And after collecting spores, you have to pour the spore within the filter paper. And this is the way how you have to collect. Then after collection, just see, this is the layer of spores, and these are not spores, these are the other soil materials, and these are the spores, you can see. And this is the wooden dowel. You have to pick single spores on this spore line, and you can see this under stereo microscope, and this job is very hectic. And these are the structures. These are the structures within the root cells. How can you confirm that the plants were infected with your desirable AM spores? You collect the roots, living roots, and you have to stain. And you can see this is the structure. This is Aplychodia, how they are penetrating. You can see, okay? And these are the auxiliary structures. Zygospora and Scutellespora auxiliary structure, and these are the H connections. Now, I told you earlier the host plant, a very good host plant, and now this is the structure of Sudan grass, and which is a carrier, and this is carrier is any mycorrhizal plant, and you can use any type of host plant, but you should note that which plant have the highest infection according to your observation. Take this plant, and which can be easily grown in your environment. Okay, and this host plant you have to use to allow multiply of this fungus. Because 80% of plants are host plants of M. fungi, and they are the symbiotic partner. Next, some arbuscules and vesicles. I have told you earlier, these are the arbuscules. These are the arbuscules. You can see. And these are the vesicles. You can see these vesicles are bulbous, but these vesicles are constricted. So these are not of same type of fungi. This is called Aculeospora, and these are of Chromis. Next, and these are again different type of arbuscules. And one term I told you, coil, and this is the coil. Within that, and these are the cortical root cell. You can see different type of structures, isn't it? Now vesicles, again I can see this is the different type of vesicles. And actually this structure I have seen in Cyperus, but in different literature it is written that Cyperus, within Cyperus it is not present, but fortunately I have seen. So it is not a exact thing, it may be it wrong or right from the previous observation. So you have to study and you have to take the photograph, otherwise no one will believe you. And these are the M spores. And see how different types of M spores are there. This is the, I am showing you this because this is the first time under my microscope I have seen so many spores. Just see different type of microscope, but these are not spores. These are not spores. These are not spores. These are garbage. You have to be very careful during spore isolation, and you have to pick only live spores. These are the live spores, and these are the spores, and these are the spores. You can see different type of spores. Zygospora, small, and this is the mature one. This is Scutellespora with the seed, and you can observe different type of spores, and no one is like anyone. Now, sporocarp. What is sporocarp? You know that sporocarps are spore producing structure, and you can see here these are the spore. This one is sporocarp, this one, and these are different type. Okay, glomus, and this is Sclerocystis sporocarp. Now, you got all spores, hyphal infection, mycorrhizal infection within the mycorrhizal or hyphal infection within the root. But how you harvest them, how store them, how you keep them for long use? First, after 3 months of final production of inoculum, you should harvest. After 3 months, you have to wait, because within 3 months, the spores become mature. And mature spores and other structures are very useful and neat for inoculum production and infection and use for further biofertilizer. Then storage. Where you should store? Store in cool place away from direct sunlight and heat. It is very essential. Obviously store in cool place, but don't place it in the refrigerator. Only cool place. Then packaging. Dried soils with spores, including other dry roots of the host plant and remnant of hyphae, may be packaged in a sterilized polythene container at room temperature up to 2 years. And after that, you can observe that spore viability will decrease. So within 2 years, you have to use all those things as biofertilizer. Now, I am coming with the pot culture experimental portion. Okay. So I take periwinkle, very important medicinal plant. Later I work on other plants and vegetable plants also. But during PhD research, I take periwinkle and other medicinal plants also. But I have shown you only periwinkle. Okay. Here, which type of soil I have to take? Sterilized garden soil. Garden soil. Okay. So how we have to sterilize this soil? I have to use formalin, diluted formalin for the sterilization purpose and inoculum. Earlier I purchased Glomus mossi, Zygospora margarita and Acarospora leavis and produced them in mass by mass culture production. Next, I am showing you the result. Just see. First one uninoculated, control plant. And here the soil is devoid of any kind of microorganism because it is totally sterilized. Then second pot, third pot and fourth pot, I use Glomus mossi, Zygospora margarita, Acarospora leavis spore and their remnants as biofertilizer. What is the result? After 120 days, I have to set up the experiment and in a very good place, in a well-maintained place, in airy place, and such a protection that no flies, mice, rat, nobody can enter there. But you need proper sunlight and air. Okay. Now, what is the result? So this. First of all, when I mean the leaf area, just see, this is the uninoculated control one. But in other case, when I use biofertilizer, in every case it increased. Mean leaf number, it is increased. Shoot length also increased. Root length also increased. Dry biomass also increased and wet biomass also increased. Okay. Then you can conclude that M fungi here act as biofertilizer, that is enhancing the growth, the yield in terms of leaf area, leaf number, shoot length, root length or biomass production increase. Okay. So in graphical explanation, first of all, leaf area. Here in term of leaf area, you can see this is Zygospora margarita. In case of using Zygospora margarita, it shows highest increase. Here also highest, here also highest, but root length increases when I am using Acarospora leavis. That is, for all character increase, all spores do not act as usual. other three, but here in case of root length increase, it shows highest result. And in next case, when dry biomass and wet biomass increase, Zygospora margarita again shows good yield. Next, so I can say that this plant periwinkle is mycorrhizal dependent. Okay, so this term was first coined by Jardine. What is mycorrhizal dependency? That is, mycorrhizal dependency is the degree to which a plant species is dependent on the mycorrhizal condition to produce its maximum growth or maximum yield of a given length of soil fertility. Okay, so MD, formula of MD is equal to dry weight of mycorrhizal plant minus dry weight of non-mycorrhizal plant by dry weight of mycorrhizal plant into 100. So what you have seen here, Catharanthus roseus plant was mycorrhizal dependent in terms of all cases. Other plant, that was I have not shown you, but in next slide I am trying to show you. Kalanchoe pinnata, it also mycorrhizal dependence. It shows mycorrhizal dependency, but in different way. So MD is not same for all plants, though they are symbiotically associated with each other. This is the loophole of research, and you can take any type of plant for doing your research. Several type of plants are there, several types of sports are there, and when you get better result, very good result, try to use it for your further work or try to share your knowledge with knowledgeable persons. And this is I can show you, that is Kalanchoe pinnata. In case of Catharanthus roseus, you can see for every case AAA, that means all are significant. Okay, for all days, 90 days, 120 days, 120 days. But here you can same significant rate. But here you can see that in Kalanchoe pinnata, when they are in the previous stage, they showed different result, but after 180 days, all showed good result, because you can see Kalanchoe pinnata root is not so good as Catharanthus roseus. Okay. Now I can show you the state-wise biofertilizer production in India. This is a old data, but you can see this is our concern. Okay, so what I am saying, Uttarakhand, no, Uttar Pradesh. Oh, I wrongly written Uttarakhand. It should be Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand 493. Here Madhya Pradesh 736. Here Karnataka 430. So they are using hemp fungi in to some extent good way, but most of the states don't using this as hemp fungi or don't producing it. But see, Azotobacter or Azolla, this production rate is high, and most of the states are trying to produce this. Because what? Because they are using this more. Okay. Now, state-wise career-based biofertilizer production. So, what can you say? Tamil Nadu producing highest, and then comes next Karnataka. So all states, and these are the some states, they are not producing so much, and in a very lower level, most of the states. Okay. Now this is the state-wise biofertilizer production in terms of metric ton, and now zone-wise. Okay, so what is the result? Southern zone, that is the states states, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, they are producing and they are user of different type of biofertilizers, and this trend is still present nowadays. So, what can I say? M biofertilizer being essential component of organic farming and play vital role in maintaining long-term soil fertility and sustainability by fixing atmospheric dinitrogen, mobilizing fixed macro and macronutrients, or convert insoluble phosphate in the soil into forms available to plants, thereby increases their efficiency and availability. In context of the cost and environmental impact of chemical fertilizers, excessive reliance on the chemical fertilizers is not viable strategy in long run because of the cost both in domestic resources and foreign exchange involved in setting up of fertilizer plants and sustaining the production. So, as VAM is easy to handle and need no synthetic media for mass production, it may be incorporated as a biofertilizer in present day scenario. Unfortunately, our country is not a good producer of this biofertilizer. So, what I have to do? We have to do. Next, in our topic, I mentioned waste management. No waste management, organic management. ठीक है, okay. So first of all, I have to tell waste. What is waste? Waste are unwanted or unusable materials that are discarded after primary use. This may be a book, this may be a lamp, this may be a shoe, every type. Household wastes are disposable materials generated by anthropogenic activities. These wastes may be organic wastes like kitchen waste, vegetable peel, leaf litter, waste grain, smashed paper, woods, and inorganic wastes such as glass, metals, plastics, and many more. Here I am trying to describe how household waste can be used in making home garden as well as kitchen garden. Home garden, there is actually not so much difference in home garden and kitchen garden, but home garden is a garden where all type of plants are grown. You can grow any type of plants in your boundary. But when we are specify kitchen garden, a garden where herbs and vegetables are grown around the house for household use, only use for your kitchen purpose. So, it is not only fantasy to make own kitchen garden, but it is now a time-based need also. Why? Because so many garbage and waste every day destroy our environment, pollute our environment, pollute the scenic beauties. Okay, so both organic and inorganic household waste can be used properly and wisely for making home gardens. At the same time, sustainable use of waste for the production of something valuable material is prime need to get rid of from the huge amount of waste and also for making clean and green society as well as our environment. So, what is our duty? Now, our duty to think about our own clean and green environment. How we can improve, how we can create a good clean green environment for me and for future. So, first, we have to quantify the biodegradable kitchen waste. Why? Why to quantify? To visualize the huge amount of wastes. Next, method to prepare compost and organic manure from the waste kitchen products or vegetable peels or other waste materials which are green wastes. Then, how you can use all these things to make your own home garden. produce some vegetable, some fruit, some flower. Okay. Next, show identification of kitchen waste for gardening. Which waste you should use for your garden? Vegetables and fruit peel scraps, eggshells, rotten vegetables, tea bags after use and tea after preparation, grass cuttings, leaf cuttings. Don't throw away these. Use these. Shredded leaves and remaining of food, excluding bony parts of fish and meat. Why? Because bony parts of fish and meat, they take year and year to be degraded. So avoid this. Okay. And when you are trying to make container garden, I will show you later. You should avoid lemon peel, onion, and garlic peel because of lemon's acidic condition, and onion and garlic peel, they take many long time to be degraded. Okay. Now, to quantify the biodegradable kitchen waste, I have done a small survey for 30 days. Okay. On 20 families in our area to quantify raw biodegradable kitchen wastes. The different methods of kitchen waste management, how you can manage these wastes. You can produce manure. You can produce large scale manure from your household wastes through peat preparation, or you can use it in small container to make container garden, or you can use a large container for making waste to compost. So method to prepare compost or organic, how you can do it. Complete decomposition and final preparation of manure is done by using local techniques in a homemade pit with the starter irregular. And during our childhood, we usually see in villages, people usually store cow dungs and other household wastes, which are biodegradable waste, they store in a pile. And after a long time, or 1 year, they become these organizers, please. Someone want to know anything? Hello? I am audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay.
Yes.
I forget. Okay. So that time we usually see heap of cow dungs, vegetable waste, and other waste, remnants of foods. They stored and kept aside in some distance place. After 1 year, they use this manure to manure their agricultural fields. That time, so much chemical fertilizers are not used by the farmers, and they use this. And now this is again the time come. But where is the cow dung? Okay, that is the problem. And farmers also, they are smart. They don't like this. So, as we are knowledgeable person, we should try to clean and green our environment, our surroundings, and by this way, you can take small steps as a wise person. So, in homemade pit, you start your manure production with starter inocula, and then mix the wastes there. Mixture of several beneficial natural microorganisms. When you mix the inocula, that is starter inocula is not a costly thing. You can take it from any organic from any organic manure. You can take it. Okay, and it is full of good bacteria, algae, fungi, actinomycetes. They can help to decompose all the organic matters to produce it in manure or convert it to manure. That is the concept of home garden or kitchen garden. You know it, so I have not to mention. Then proper technique to apply waste for planting. Modified methods of our ancestor to prepare organic manure for future use in home garden, which will boost for cleaning garbage and community development in municipal area. I have told earlier, preparing botanical garden by using direct kitchen waste and other plastic, glass or wooden waste for beautification and making pot. Okay. And now you are seeing in Facebook several person producing their home garden with bottles, just water bottles. Use of local and last use of local M microalgae. Here I can connect. I want to connect the mycorrhizal fertilizer with waste, and I show you the how M fertilizer is very useful as biofertilizer with the organic fertilizer, organic manure, and how they can produce good production as biofertilizer by minimizing space and cost. I showed you earlier, as M mycorrhizae mass culture do not need any costly media, any soil and only soil and sand needed, and no agar media or no agar broth, no destroyed media. So it is very easy. I showed you earlier. Now this is the kitchen waste, and when this is when room, okay, and this is a good scene, but when this is a heap that feel that is not good to see. Okay, so this is my small survey. What I have seen for 30 days, I have told earlier, I surveyed on 20 families, and my final result is in this 20 family, total 3 members, and per day release of kitchen waste 11 kg, 732 gram. 32 gram. Hence, per head released kitchen waste per day is 186.2 gram. Very tiny. Okay. But when in terms of Indian population, it is 2,56,987 metric tons per day. A huge quantity. Now, organic manure preparation at home. Take a big waste container with lid, store starter. If not available, take card with garden soil. Place here chopped organic matter like kitchen waste, green leaves, waste flowers, etc. Close the lid. At the lower, don't forget, at the lower part of this container, you should make one hole to collect the liquid, which will produce during this time. It may be this liquid may be used as fertilizer by mixing with water. After 1 month or more, it will be good compost. After 1 month, you have to stop adding green waste material. It is just like Bobasi method, and it is available in this. And this is my method I am using here. Now, if you have some place in your some surrounding place in your area, you can dig a big pit with a size of 2 into 2 into 3 feet on your backyard and deposit household biodegradable waste materials to the pit, excluding bone and piece and meat, as I told earlier. Add adequate quantity of cow dung and mix well after 2 to 3 days. Continue for few months. Moisture content should be maintained. You have to maintain it because moisture is a very essential part, because bacteria and fungi are the decomposer here, and without moisture, adequate moisture, they would not be able to decompose your waste material. Okay, so mix well the waste material time to time. It is essential part also. You can see the change. After some day, there will be no odor, and it becomes black to gray, and it is a manure and ready for your use. So, first I told you about biofertilizer. Now I told you about your organic manure. I summarize both of them here and try to show you. Organic manure, this huge amount of kitchen waste is the potential source of large amount of organic manure production and use. So, don't throw it away. Use your own kitchen waste in your own way. That's way you clean your environment. You can clean your environment and you can reuse the materials. Then biofertilizer. Yam fungi as natural inhabitants of soil and symbiotically associated with above 80% angiospermic plant. Above 80%. It may be more than that. In my experiment, I have calculated and it shows that 98% plant, according to my collection, they are am infected. Okay. When there are so many plants, then it will decrease. The amount will decrease. Organic manure improves the structure of soil by adding humus. Increase water holding capacity. Increases soil nutrients by adding macro and micronutrients. And organic manure production needs 30 to 45 days and they can be preserved after proper drying. So their production is not costly and not lengthy. So you can use organic manure in lieu of chemical fertilizer. Avoid chemical fertilizer. In this COVID-19 period, please use green and fresh vegetables which you can produce in your home or kitchen garden or your roof garden. Then in case of biofertilizer, M helps host plants to grow better by increasing root volume and delivering macro and micronutrients from soil. So both of them have the same type of property. So you can add organic manure and biofertilizer. Again, biofertilizer, they also protect crop plants from several disease-causing pathogens. This is a very important thing. And biofertilizer use help garden plants to grow better and hardy. At least 3 months is needed for production of M biofertilizer and can be stored up to 2 years. And this is very important. After 2 years, you can use your produced biofertilizer. And it is very cost effective. Now, application of M fungi with organic manure at home, and I am trying to show you a model. This is in write-up. Collect good quality forest and garden soil in winter season because winter season soil is a good repository of M spore. It is from my research. And avoid garden soil where chemical fertilizers and pesticides are used very frequently. Don't take that type of soil. Take a plastic tray, fill it with 2/3 by coco peat plus forest soil. Mix them well, coco peat and forest soil. Place desirable agricultural seeds as you wish, with adequate number of Sudan grass seeds. Why Sudan grass? I told earlier that M fungi need a host and Sudan grows very fast and a good host of M fungi. So M fungal production and its increase need one host and Sudan will take that part or play that role. Water it regularly and properly. After 2 weeks, top part of Sudan grass should be cut down. Why? Because Sudan grass, when it is in living condition, it will take nutrition also. I don't want to give it the nutrient. I want its root, the infected roots. Because these infected roots started with ham fungi will also infect our desirable agricultural crop and it will help to suck the macro and micronutrients and water from the soil to my agricultural crop. Okay. Then inoculated seedlings now may be placed to container filled with jar along with organic manure and filled with garden soil. You could continue the process till the yield. Now only watering is essential, or you can follow any auto container model. Other method is you can place seedling in desired pot filled with garden soil, that is manure. This time do not forget to put inoculum soil also. Now this is the model I am trying to show you, and you can use it. This is a container like tub. You make one hole here to get rid of excess water. Now you place 3 or 4 holes there. Why? Because of get rid of excess water, and here some wicks are there. Place one wick through this hole to this container soil, okay, so that there is a connection between this cup and the water through these wicks. Now fill these cups with water, or if you don't want, you don't do this, because excess water automatically will come here to store. Okay, now fill this with garden soil or good quality soil as you wish. This is another jar. Place this another jar with full of holes. Okay, up to that point there is no hole. Now within this pot there is a lid. Every day you have to put the kitchen waste in a small piece, place there, and use starter inoculum here. Then first of all you mix them well, then put the cap tight. Then place the plants earlier inoculated with VAM in this pot. Okay. Now this tube will drain extra water. They also drain extra water, but one thing, this and this difference is that this water you can use it again here, but this water automatically will go to this soil through this wick. So if we go outside your home for some day, store more water here or adequate water here and go away, it will automatically take water and plant will grow. That's why this is auto container model, garden model. You can use it. And this is another example. This one I can show you. This one, water come here, and these are the cups. One cup is in here, others are there, other side, and this is the onion. Okay, and this is my yield of another crop, that is sweet potato, from a single container. Okay, see this weight. So from the study, it can be concluded that kitchen gardens as well as container gardens may be constructed in every house of municipal areas for a better use of kitchen waste to make a healthy, clean and green environment. Local fungal soil is good source for mass biofertilizer production, and in the preparation of kitchen garden starter soil. Unprocessed kitchen waste should not be used as it is not good. Various insects and pathogenic microorganisms may come in direct contact of plants and affect it. So, auto container garden is good for small space and small house to use daily kitchen waste. I show you earlier this one. Application of processed kitchen waste made organic manure is recommended for use in every house for better growth of the plant. So these are the differences, and I am acknowledging my principal and my supervisor, Dr. N.K. Verma, retired professor, Department of Botany and Forestry, Vidyasagar University, and thank you for lessons hearing.
you so much, Dr. Madam Pompey Ghosh, our resource person for today's webinar, for providing valuable insights about vesicular or vascular microarray, popularly known as VAM, which is a symbiotic association between certain phycomycetes fungi and angiospermic roots. Her presentation on the research and applied use of VAM as a biofertilizer to augment the production of plants and increase the biomass of agricultural and horticultural plants is very informative, and I'm glad to know about the noble concept of home garden, kitchen garden and auto container concept to recycle waste in a sustainable manner. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this incredible presentation. I'm glad to hear you in this webinar. Ma'am, I have a question for you. Somebody has asked, so can I ask you this question? Like, can I put the question to you? Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, please unmute yourself. Hello, ma'am. Please unmute yourself.
Okay.
Hello, ma'am. So I have a question for you. Sir has asked that can we pour kitchen waste on daily basis into the same pot? If not, do we use separate pots for daily waste? Kindly explain frequency of adding kitchen waste. This is a question asked by Mr. Balak Nath, and I'm presenting this question to you, ma'am.
As per the size of your container, you use it. After 1 month, you have to stop to add more waste, because you have to give time for the process. It will take some time. After that, you have to wait for the preparation or preparation of this manure. And as we are not, we are not scientific person, we are trying to do this. That's why I can't tell you that this is the perfect time, this is the time bound. I can't say. From your experience, you can do about from your experience you can do. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much for this presentation, ma'am. We have learned a lot, and especially I have learned a lot from this research, and your survey also. It was great, ma'am, seeing the data, ma'am, actually. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Anyone?
Participants, if you like to ask question to ma'am, then please unmute yourself. If someone else has questions, please unmute yourself and ask to ma'am.
Okay, no question. Then we have to end this program because already 8:40.
Yes, ma'am.
Time today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Yes. Okay, ma'am. Dear participants, one announcement. Please join. Please register yourself for the international conference on 27th and to 29th November, and also please register yourself for the upcoming webinar, which is on 4th September. So I'll hand over the mic to Dr. Debabrata Dash, sir. So would you please